Hello, hello, everyone. I am Juliana, real food nutritionist, and today I am here to interview Connor Faiczak. Hi, Connor.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yes, it's my pleasure. And the topic today is awesome. Connor is a registered kinesiologist, and today we're going to be talking about the best forms of exercise to boost your metabolism and help you release the extra pounds.
Absolutely.
So, first of all, I'd like to introduce Connor officially, and then we're going to go and take it from there. So, Connor is proud to work for the award winning studio Personal Edge Training, and that is in Kitchener, Ontario, Canada. He is a registered kinesiologist and a CSEP certified personal trainer. He got his personal training certification early so that he could start helping people move more safely and effectively. He pursued his registered kinesiologist designation in order to help an even broader range of people with more complex health conditions. One of his biggest goals as a personal trainer is education, and he educates everyone he works with so that they can understand the correct and safest ways to move, which is awesome. So,
Absolutely.
welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, that's kind of a big philosophy for me personally, is, trying to work with people and really kind of set them up for success in the future. I might only see someone for, 1 to 3 hours a week. And so that's a very short time in a kind of a whole week. And so I want to make sure that, I'm teaching people how to exercise safely. So when they go home and they're, lifting things off the ground, or if they're trying to do some exercise at home on their own, even as little as, going out on a walk, there's proper form and things like that. So really, I'm just out here to educate everybody and keep everybody as safe and as healthy for as long as possible.
Absolutely. And that is so important. And I really relate to the point personally, given my history of
Mm,
spinal conditions, right? I had a spinal fusion in 2012. And even before there for 15 years with like suffering with migraine and not feeling parts of my body from time to time.
absolutely.
And I knew from all the therapies and treatments that I've done that I had so many muscles doing things they're not supposed to,
Hmm.
right? So I was really afraid of exercising, to be honest, because I knew at any point in time I could really hurt myself.
Hmm.
And really learning to use proper form and really, using parts of my body that have not been moved in a long time. The first time I was able to lift my like deadlift 50 pounds, I felt so empowered.
All
So I
right.
think it's such a brilliant job. And I'm very happy to have you here sharing your knowledge with us.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be able to kind of share what I've learned over the years here and to be able to help educate everybody and do exactly what I said, keep everybody safe and kind of healthy in the long term.
Absolutely. So I'm
Hmm.
going to jump right into it and I'm going to ask the burning question, which
Yeah.
is what, in your professional opinion, is the best form of exercise to boost your metabolism for somebody looking to burn fat and release excess weight?
Hmm. So when we're looking to kind of release excess weight, we're looking to increase that metabolism. So really your body's doing all the work for you. By increasing your metabolic rate, you're burning off those calories just by, sitting around doing nothing in your spare time. But to do that, to increase that metabolic rate, you got to get working. You got to increase that heart rate. So one of the best ways to increase that metabolic rate with exercise is high intensity interval training. A lot of times it's referred to as HIIT training because of
Okay.
the initials high intensity interval training, HIIT. So HIIT training is really interesting. It places a really large demand on the muscles. So those muscles need oxygen, those muscles need energy in order to perform and do what they need to do. So by exercising at that increased intensity or that high intensity level, we're just asking more of those muscles. We're
Mm,
asking more of those muscles, and so we can't sustain this for a long period of time. So, high intensity interval training and moderate intensity continuous training are very different, mostly in their duration as well as their intensity. So, for HIIT training, you can get a really great workout in as little as 10 minutes. If
right.
you're exercising and doing all the proper intervals and everything, you can get a great workout in 10 minutes and see the results of an increased metabolic rate for up to 14 hours after your workout. So that's basically if you were to work out first thing in the morning and then do absolutely nothing the rest of the day, you'd be burning extra calories just by having done that high intensity workout in the morning. If you do kind of a moderate intensity workout where you're not getting that heart rate up as high, you won't see the muscles continue with that kind of afterburner effect as you will when you increase that intensity. This is due to kind of more muscle fibers being engaged, and they have to kind of contract at a faster rate, so it takes them longer to recover. And then when you go about your day and do whatever other activities you do during the day, you're using that muscle at a decreased capacity, so you're working that muscle kind of endurance-wise as well. So you get a lot of unique benefits, and so that's why it's really beneficial in terms of the muscle to increase that intensity to help you turn on that afterburner effect, so then you can keep burning calories for up to 14 hours, like I said. And one really interesting study looked at a 45-minute high-intensity interval training exercise protocol. And they found that the participants that did the high-intensity training versus a moderate intensity training burned an extra 200 calories in the rest of their day. So that's a huge difference, 200 calories in a day just by working at a higher intensity for a less amount of time. So that sounds like a pretty good deal.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And so, okay, that's amazing. And with HIIT being really popular, there is another form of exercise that you tell me about called sit.
Yes.
That is also important. So what would be the difference between the two of them?
Yeah, so HIIT training and sit training are really interesting. There's a graphic that we'll show here. And so in this graphic, you can see HIIT training and sit training are very similar in their ability to produce fat reductions. So both of them are going to reduce fat to about the same percent. HIIT training, high intensity interval training, is done at around 80% of your VO2 max, which is basically the maximum amount of volume that your body can consume and use. So it's a very great measure of your cardiovascular endurance, and it's very easy to personalize this, but it's very hard to do on your own. So it's definitely recommended to see a personal fitness instructor or someone who's comfortable taking your VO2 max before starting something like this. HIIT, we're doing kind of an alternating 80% of your VO2 max with then a period of time at 40% of your VO2 max. So kind of depending on where you are, if you're just starting out and are a beginner, it's usually recommended to kind of start with maybe 30 seconds at that higher intensity and maybe a minute at the lower intensity. So go on 30 seconds at an 80% pace. If you're riding a bike, that's keeping your heart rate at an elevated rate, spinning that bike at a faster pace for 30 seconds, and then relaxing back to that 40% of the VO2 max in order to sustain that for the minute, and then just alternating between those two intensities. Sprint interval training is really interesting because you can see even greater effects than high intensity interval training, but it takes a lot more effort. So with sprint interval training, we're trying to work at above 100% of your VO2 max. So that's more effort than your body can sustain for a long period of time. So sit training is really important for more of the athletic population. So that's what you would see being used with certain athletes. Sprinters use this technique a lot. Hockey players use this technique a lot. And it can be beneficial for general population as well, but as long as there's not any kind of underlying medical conditions or anything like that, because we do have to get to such a high intensity that it's not for everybody. So you got to kind of know where you are, and it's really best to kind of seek a doctor's advice or a fitness professional's advice before getting started into things like this.
That's awesome. And going in that line, because that's really important. And I see that more online, actually, the promotion of sit.
Yeah.
Almost like cater for everyone. And I think why it's so important to bring, your kinesiologist perspective to this, right? To really, educate people on what may not be, safe for everyone. And for our audience that's in that category, so let's just say they're just starting out on their weight release journey, and they're starting just to kind of get going in terms of adding safe movement to their daily routine,
Yeah.
what would be a recommended exercise if HIIT and sit is a little outside of their, scope right now that they can do safely at home?
Absolutely. So high intensity interval training and sprint interval training are kind of for the more advanced people, or you can start out there, but you have to start at kind of a lower range. Again, going to seek a doctor or a fitness professional's advice in order to kind of get you started. Like I was saying, with kind of that 80% of your VO2 max. A lot of people aren't going to know what that is or how to find that. So it's best to go to someone who can find that out for you and then let you know what intensity that you're supposed to be working at. And it's important to go see the doctor as well to see if there are any underlying serious medical conditions, anything affecting your breathing like asthma or any heart conditions or even bone, muscle, or joint issues. All are kind of contraindicators for doing this kind of exercise. But if you are in that boat and you can't do HIIT or sit for whatever reason, there's still great ways that you can still get that benefit. And so one of the things that I really like to recommend to my clients is going out on walks, but varying the intensity of the walk. So a lot of times if you're walking out on the street, you'll see lamp posts or even trees. So one thing that I like to recommend to people is kind of in between one tree to the next tree, go for a nice slow walking pace. And then from that tree to the next tree, try to increase that pace. So you're walking at that little bit of a greater intensity. And so that's going to get that heart rate up just a little bit, which is going to help, like I was saying at kind of the start of this session, increase that metabolic stress on the muscle, which is going to increase that metabolic rate. So you're going to turn on that afterburner effect. And so just alternating, from one street post to the next street post, alternating that intensity is going to have kind of a huge benefit in the long run. There are other ways you can do it too. Stairs is another great way that kind of most people have in their house. And so if you're very comfortable kind of going up and down stairs and you're okay with that high intensity, it's great to just kind of go up and down as fast as you can, or at maybe an 80%. And then take it slow for a flight up and down, and then go fast and slow, keeping that pace. But if you're, again, unable to do that high intensity interval training, you can either find a smaller set of stairs. So instead of maybe a flight of stairs that goes straight from your bottom to your top floor, it's got maybe, 12 to 15 steps. That might be a little too far to start, but maybe you've got some steps at the entranceway or some steps in the backyard, maybe 3 to 5 steps. That might be a good place to start. So then you can decrease that time or that duration that you're doing it. And then that can be a little bit better suited. Or if there's a railing, you could always hold on to the railing to help you to boost that intensity, but still maintain that safety. So there's a lot of great tools you can use, everyday kind of things that you see around the house or everyday activities you do, but just kind of modify it the way you look at the activity. And then you can start to see some really interesting benefits and that weight start to come off naturally through raising that metabolic rate.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I have one more question, and I know that one is a little controversial, so I'd like to hear your take on it. So in terms of eating for exercise, and specifically, is it like, what does the science say in terms of, is it best to wake up and do a fasted workout, meaning working out on an empty stomach, or is it better to have a full breakfast and then work out? So take us through what's out there.
This is a really interesting topic. So there's a lot of research kind of going on right now, and the research is kind of ambiguous still. So what they're kind of looking at is exactly what you said there, to see if it's better to work out fasted or to eat something. And if you are to eat something, what is the best thing to eat? What is the best kind of, macronutrient? Or should we be eating high protein beforehand, high carbohydrates beforehand? And so kind of what the research is basically saying is that it doesn't really matter. There's not really a best way to do it. It really depends on the person. So one situation that I'll throw out there is if you're not a morning person, but you feel like, all this stuff online is telling you have to work out in the morning, and you're going to be, you're going to increase that metabolic rate by working out in the morning. You're not going to eat breakfast. Your body's going to have so much energy and all this from working out. But then if you have to get up earlier than normal and you went to bed at the same time, you're putting yourself into sleep deprivation, which is going to slow down your body's chemistry or upset your body's chemistry, and then it's going to slow down your metabolism. So it's really going to have that opposite effect of what you want. So, but on that opposite effect, if you are a morning person and you know your sleep schedule, you're waking up early in the morning anyways, that might be the best time for you to throw in the workout. If your stomach's not good at handling food early in the morning, then it's probably best to do it fasted. If your stomach can handle a little something in the morning, then it's probably best to have a little something in the morning so that you can have a little bit of energy. If you're going to work out in an hour, so you're kind of working out in an hour, like, oh, I'm kind of hungry, I should get some food. The best things that you can have are probably a little piece of fruit and then a few nuts. So you get some healthy fats from the nuts, some protein from the nuts, and then some carbohydrates, some healthy carbohydrates and sugars from the fruits. So that's kind of a good one to eat kind of on the go. If you have 1 to 2 hours before a workout, so maybe early in the morning, it's usually a good idea to eat something that's easily digestible, like a nice bowl of oatmeal or some overnight oats or something like that, where you can get a little fruit, a little milk, a little bit of oats. And so that'll be kind of easily digested in the stomach. And then ideally, if you have kind of 2 or 3 hours and you get to plan when your workout is, if you can get a well-rounded meal, you know, having proper amounts of carbohydrates, fats, proteins in your meal, that's going to be what's optimal. And you should try to have that meal 2 to 3 hours before your workout, trying to make sure that your body has time to digest or at least settle that food and hopefully gain some extra energy boost from that food being in your body. So that's kind of where the science is at right now. I'm sure there'll be a lot more research coming out, and hopefully we'll kind of get an answer to what is the best time and thing to eat pre-workout.
That's awesome. And what about somebody that's more experienced, or let's just say somebody that's been doing intermittent fasting successfully for a while, and that they wake up and they're able to work out on a fasted state before eating their meal? Like, if they're feeling good, is the conclusion here that then that is fine for their body?
Absolutely. So one of the things with intermittent fasting is our body's going kind of a long time without any food. So we need to be kind of conscious of if we're going to get lightheaded or start feeling dizzy. Because the last thing we need is to be working out, doing some exercise, and then pass out all of a sudden.
Right.
That's not very safe. So what we need to consider is exactly what you said, kind of how long have you been fasting? If you're an experienced faster or experienced at fasting and you've been doing it for a while, and you know that your body's not going to have any adverse side effects to exercise, so you're not going to get lightheaded or dizzy, and your body's comfortable acting in that fasted state, then that's totally fine. You can do that. But for someone who's not experienced with their body at being fasted, it's going to be very hard, and that body's going to want to go into kind of a shutdown mode, and it's going to want to protect itself because it's expending energy that it really doesn't have. And so that could be dangerous at the start if you're just trying intermittent fasting or kind of playing with it on and off. So just be careful about, you know, if you are going to work out, be mindful of if your body needs fuel. And if you do a workout when you fasted, just be mindful if you start to get dizzy, that's always better to stop and take a little rest than to try to push past that point.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And really, like, and you said it very beautifully, but it's the whole idea that your body knows best. It will always tell you what it needs. We just have to listen and honor it, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that is awesome. And for everybody starting, you know, early in the journey, you know, one step at a time, right? Every little win counts. Like, we don't have to go from, like, stay on the couch all day to, you know, working at 80% capacity overnight. And part of that progression is also how we keep it safe, right? So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Now, if somebody watching us, and now with our, you know, online world, I know you've been doing a lot of online training. So if somebody needs help getting a program customized for them, or, you know, some help with exercise and so on, what is the best way for them to find you?
Yeah, so I'm kind of easily reached through many different methods here. We have my email, which is Connor@Faiczak, my last name, .ca. So Connor@Faiczak.ca. Or you can reach out to me through personaledgetraining.com. if you fill out on that website there, there's a kind of a link you can click to book a consultation. The consultation is totally free of charge. So if you're interested at all in what I've talked about here today, it might be worth clicking just to kind of have a chat and see where you're at and where you want to be and if personal training might be right for you. Because as kind of everything I talked about here today, you can look online and you can see all this information, but then what you do with that information is really kind of what matters. And so if you don't understand the whole VO2 max concept and how to calculate your heart rate and what intensity you should be working at, it might be beneficial to kind of come and have a consultation, talk about what your body needs and what you should be expecting from your body. At different intensities. So, you know, if I tell some random person off the street to, you know, give me a 75% effort sprint, it's hard for someone to judge that. But with the education that I give my clients, I really like to kind of allow them to explore and then to create that mind-body connection. So when I say give me 75% intensity, they know right away, you know, I need to work at this intensity and my breathing should be feeling a certain way. My, you know, energy should be feeling a certain way. And so there's a lot of kind of different ways that you can kind of tell what's going on in your body. And so, you know, booking a consultation through Personal Edge website would be a great way to kind of get in touch with me or other great trainers we have at Personal Edge, in order to kind of see the benefits and help reach those goals that you want to reach.
That's awesome. And you also have a Facebook group?
And then, yeah, so I co-run a Facebook group called the Healthy Habits Project. And basically what we do there is we give really interesting health and fitness and nutrition tips. Basically exactly what the name says, trying to build healthy habits. So just one step at a time, trying to every day, you know, build something and just build yourself to continue to be that better person that you know you can be.
That's awesome. And I'll make sure to link all the different ways to contact you in the description below. Thank you so much. It was so informative. I know this is a topic that so many people want to learn more about so they can be more, I would say, effective, right, with their exercise, especially, you know, maybe not exactly right now because we're in the middle of the pandemic, but as we go back to, say, our new normal and life gets really busy, knowing what the best, most effective ways and how to do it safely is key. So I really thank you for your time and for this great interview. And I hope to see you and interview again in the future.
I'm sure we'll be able to put something together. This was really fun. Thanks a lot for having me. I hope, you know, you were able to learn something, and I hope all the viewers were able to kind of pick up a few tips and are kind of feeling a little bit more confident about maybe starting out an exercise program or feeling a little bit more confident being able to reach out and talk to someone about how they want to start their new fitness journey. So thanks a lot for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Bye for now.
No problem. We'll see you later.